This is Carolina Catholic Media Showcase.
Hello and welcome, Carolina Catholic family. This is Elizabeth Harris, and I'm here as part of the showcase today to interview Father Peter Ascik. So Father Peter, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to be able to interview you in this beautiful month of May.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Great to be here.
So Father, can you just give us an introduction of yourself and share your role within the Diocese of Charlotte, North Carolina?
Sure. Well, I'm a priest of the Diocese of Charlotte. I grew up in North Carolina, and I was ordained for this diocese in 2017. And currently I'm serving as pastor of St. Mary Help of Christians in Shelby, North Carolina, as well as Christ the King Catholic Mission in Kings Mountain. And I'm also the director of the Office of Family Life for the Diocese of Charlotte, which coordinates marriage, family, and pro-life ministries across the diocese.
Beautiful. And can you tell me a little bit about the mission of the Office of Family Life and maybe when the office was established?
Sure. So our office was established about 2 years ago on the Feast of the Holy Family in 2021. And the purpose of our office is to help support outreach and ministry for marriage, for family, and for pro-life throughout the diocese. So, of course, in the church, so many ministries take place at a parish level, but there are also ministries that go beyond the parish level and have a broader impact. And our job is to support those ministries both at the parish and across the diocese. It's our mission is to make sure the family is supported, because the family, as we know from Catholic teaching, is the heart of the church and the heart of society. And so healthy families lead to a healthy church and a healthy society. And our job is to support the family on various levels. So some of our activities include offering marriage preparation workshops and resources, which are used by couples in marriage preparation at any parish throughout the diocese. They'll come to our workshops as a key part of their preparation for the sacrament of marriage, and making sure that they're starting out on a good foundation for a good, strong marriage. We also offer marriage enrichment opportunities like the Together in Holiness Conference, which is held annually throughout the year, which is focused on strengthening those marriages that already exist and helping them to flourish. We also coordinate with other apostolates like the Retrovi retreats, which are really an opportunity for people who are in marriages and might be struggling in that marriage to come together for a weekend retreat to really reconnect and try to lay a good foundation of communication and empathy, and then to continue with follow-up support in the months after there in an effort to heal marriages. So those are some of the things that are focused on marriage. We're also responsible for offering education in natural family planning, which is a method of family planning that uses awareness and tracking of the natural cycle of fertility in a woman's body, and uses that knowledge to inform discernment about whether it's a good time to pursue having a child, or whether there might be good reasons to delay having a child, either in the short term or indefinitely, and to be able to abstain in order to achieve those goals. And so it's a method of family planning that respects God's plan for sexuality, respects the design of our bodies, and really protects the dignity of the couple in their communication as well. And so we have a number of courses that are offered both for couples in marriage preparation and also married couples and families to support the practice of natural family planning and understand the moral and spiritual and medical advantages of that approach. We also are responsible for pro-life activities in the diocese, promoting the dignity of the human person, the dignity of human life from the moment of conception until natural death. And so we support advocacy, people who are out there standing up for the dignity of the unborn child, the dignity of every human person, as well as education to help form people in a pro-life worldview that sees the reality that life is always a good. As John Paul II said, life is always a good, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the challenges, may be, the answer to those real challenges is never to take the life of a human person, an innocent human person, as happens in abortion or euthanasia. And so our office also focuses on pro-life issues through education, through advocacy, and through outreach.
Yeah, so beautiful. And, I had the honor and privilege of serving for the pre-Cana workshops, actually, in some of the areas around the diocese doing natural family planning. And it's one of my favorite things to do. So I just am so grateful for all the different programs, but especially the marriage preparation. Really beautiful a day that those couples get to spend together. Focusing on God and making God the goal is to have God be the center of their marriage, obviously. So thank you for explaining that. And Father, would you be willing to candidly share what your first thought was when you found out that Bishop Jugas had appointed you as a director of such an important position within the inaugural office of family life for the diocese?
Sure. Well, I wasn't expecting it because the office didn't exist, so I didn't even know about it, and it certainly hadn't been something that was on my radar. But I was excited, and I was grateful to the bishop for his confidence in me to ask me to do this. And I also had a sense of just God's providence, kind of confirming a number of different ways that I believe God has been preparing me for this work just over the years. Helping me to meet and encounter different types of ministries that are related to pro-life, related to marriage and family, giving me opportunities to be educated in those issues, and just an interest in them, a continuing interest in them. And so I feel that God, was preparing me, equipping me with different preparation that I would need for the role. And so when I did receive that invitation, that assignment from Bishop Jugas, I was grateful to the bishop and grateful to God, because for me it was a confirmation that God knows what he's doing, and he plans things over the long term and prepares us for the things that he asks us to do.
Definitely. Yes. That's so beautiful. And can you tell me what you are most inspired by when you see people learning about Catholic teaching on life issues, or perhaps getting engaged for the first time in pro-life activities? And do you maybe even recall a story that sticks out in your mind?
One thing I find very powerful is people encountering sidewalk ministry, people going out to pray on the public sidewalk in front of abortion clinics, and to reach out to the moms who are coming there seeking an abortion, and gently and lovingly reminding them that there are other options, and offering our personal help to them to help them choose life. And it's really a unique ministry, and until you've encountered it, until you've experienced it, it's really hard to get what it's all about. But I've seen a number of people really be changed by that encounter. Maybe for one reason or another, they just felt called to, or someone suggested it to them, someone invited them. They went out to the sidewalk for the first time, and they really saw what happens down there, and it was really eye-opening. And maybe it was just being face to face, encountering a mom who is in need. Maybe it was just encountering that spiritual effort of trying to help moms to choose life, in the spiritual, the prayer that is needed, the determination that is needed to really try to be there for them. Maybe it was sometimes encountering the opposition, not usually from moms who are coming there, but often from people associated with the abortion clinic. Often volunteer escorts are very opposed to any pro-life people being there, and they're opposed to us offering help. And so sometimes that opposition can be intense. And sometimes when people encounter that, it really helps bring home the seriousness and the reality of what's happening there, that a life is at stake, the child's life is at stake. And the mother is vulnerable to being wounded in the long term through this loss of her child. And I've seen just a number of people really be changed by going down there on the sidewalk, seeing it firsthand, and really get activated, really discover a calling and a desire to come back and to be that loving, prayerful presence on the front lines, and really at the last minute offering that help.
Definitely, yes. And as you know, I'm also a program leader in Asheville. And so I do the same ministry with Sidewalk Advocates for Life. And I would totally agree with you that it is life changing, and to see it firsthand, there's nothing like that. Um, so, Father, are there any specific ways that you are really trying to strengthen a culture of life within your parish community?
Sure. Well, I got here about 2 years ago, began as pastor, and one of the first things I wanted to do was find out about the local pregnancy resource center. Where is it? What do they offer? How can we support them? And so that connection was great. Fortunately, I actually have a parishioner who has volunteered with them, and so we had already had a connection there. And so connecting and networking with the local PRC was important. And yeah, we were at the fundraising walk for that pregnancy resource center the first year I was here, and it was really striking because we were going around, walking around the property of the building as kind of a fundraising walk, getting different laps sponsored, and there would be different prayers and devotionals in between each lap, and one of them involved remembering those children in our county who had been lost to abortion in the last year, and they put about 200 crosses in the ground
Mm.
to represent the about 200 children who had been lost, according to, North Carolina state statistics, to abortion in that last year. And it was just really striking to think, in this county, around our parish, next door, that 200 moms felt like that was their only option at some point in that year. It just really made it very concrete, and it made me think, helped me to focus that, okay, those are the 200 moms that our parish needs to reach.
Mm.
How do we reach them? Those are our neighbors, our friends, family members. They're right here in this community. How do we reach them? And so that was really a great inspiration for the Walking with Moms in Need program, which we're also working on in my parish. And that's a program that was launched by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops about 3 years ago to mark the 25th anniversary of St. John Paul II's encyclical letter on the culture of life, his pro-life encyclical called The Gospel of Life, or Evangelium Vitae. And in that encyclical, the Pope called for a mobilization of consciences and a mobilization of really all of the resources of the church and society to protect and to support life. And so the U.S. bishops, as part of their mission of carrying out that mission to protect and support life, have called on all the parishes in the United States, that's more than 17,000 parishes, to really become havens for pregnant and parenting moms in need and who might be tempted by abortion. And in a concrete way, that program involves each parish looking around at their community and asking what resources are currently available that would support pregnant or parenting moms who are in need. And so the parish looks around and makes an inventory, first of all, makes a list, a good solid list, using materials provided by the bishops of what resources are out there, and then shares that resource with the parish, make sure that list is available to everyone in the parish so that everyone knows where to refer a mom in need if they encounter that person anywhere in their life.
Mm.
And then as a second step, Walking with Moms in Need involves that parish saying, okay, we found out what's out there. What can we do? What can we contribute? What might be missing that we have an opportunity to contribute to building a culture of support for pregnant and parenting moms in need? And what that might look like is going to be different for different parishes, different communities, different gifts and resources. But I really believe that every parish has something to contribute to supporting moms in need. And so, thinking about those 200 moms right here in our community, it was a great inspiration for getting the Walking with Moms in Need program started. And we've been working on that program as well. We're currently in the inventory phase to carry out that program.
Mm-hmm.
I also, lead prayer, whether that's the petitions at Mass or the Rosary or bringing parishioners to pray at the abortion clinic. Prayer for life, prayer for the pro-life cause. And I also preach about pro-life issues and try to help educate my parishioners to make sure they're informed about what the church teaches, as well as being informed just about current issues and current developments like the Dobbs decision last year, so that they know what to pray for and then they know how they can advocate for the dignity of human life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you'll notice I'm still wearing my white rose, Father,
That's great. I noticed that. I love to see
because
that.
because I want us to make abortion unthinkable, and so I'm going to wear my white rose until abortion is completely unthinkable in our nation, in our world.
That's
So that's
great. Yeah. Yeah, that was
mhm.
an initiative of the Office of Family Life. Last year, in the lead up to the Dobbs decision, we asked people on two different days, the day of arguments and a day closer to the decision, to wear a white rose on their clothing of some kind, whether a sticker or an actual rose or a pin, as just a witness to the dignity of human life, and to use that as an opportunity if someone asked about it, to share their pro-life views and their pro-life hopes for the outcome of this court decision, that it would allow greater protection for unborn children in our country. And so I'm glad to see you
Mm.
continuing that. I've seen other people too continue to wear their white roses. It's a great witness and a great
Mm,
opportunity for good conversations as we go about our day.
definitely. Yes. So I know that you're a local program leader for Sidewalk Advocates for Life in Charlotte. What really inspired you to get involved with that ministry, and what do you love most about being involved?
Yeah, I had been praying frequently in front of abortion clinics for a number of years before I became a program leader with Sidewalk Advocates for Life. And over that time, I had mostly focused on prayer. I just go up there and pray and kind of watch what happens and speak to the people there, or speak to other pro-lifers. But I hadn't really been doing any direct outreach to the moms and the dads who come there and whom sidewalk counselors try to reach. But as the years went on, I was feeling more and more of a call that I needed to be involved in that. I needed to be able to at least sometimes speak to those moms and dads and offer those life affirming options. But I was a little scared to do that. I didn't necessarily feel like I knew how, or how to get started, and so I had kind of had some inhibitions, some hesitations about doing that. But in the months before I became a Sidewalk Advocates program leader, I had been praying at a local abortion clinic in Charlotte, and there had been some other people from some other groups doing sidewalk counseling. But over the course of a few months, they, for one reason or another, couldn't be there as much, couldn't be as present, and they started to kind of um, leave, to kind of move on. And there was opening up this space, this gap. Who was going to talk to the moms if these other people who had been filling that role
Mm,
weren't there? And so I felt kind of a push there. Like I knew I was going to keep coming, and it looks like that role was going to fall to me. And at that time, a group of parishioners had been coming on a regular basis to pray with me from the parish where I was assigned, and we all kind of felt like we were being put in this position where we needed to be the ones reaching out, but we didn't really know how. And so we looked around for resources that would train us, and we found Sidewalk Advocates for Life. I'd heard about it through some other pro-life people before, but I really took a look at it, and I immediately liked their approach. It's peaceful, it's prayerful, it's law-abiding. It's focused on how do we effectively reach these moms in a way that appeals to their hearts, a way that doesn't make them feel attacked or judged, and a way that makes it clear that we're not out there to make a point. We're not protesting something. We're there for them, and we're there to be a personal presence to help them choose life. And that was really the vision of Sidewalk Advocates for Life. And I knew that that was the kind of approach that I wanted to take, because I've become convinced in pro-life work that it's not good enough to be right. You've got to be effective as well, and you've got to be loving. And so I've more and more become convinced through the witness of really great people in the pro-life movement, Sidewalk Advocates and others, of the importance of that. It's not just about being right on the issue. It's about how do we do this effectively, and how do we do this lovingly, in a way that does show people that we're for them and not against them. And so Sidewalk Advocates really showed that approach. But then with that approach, it had a lot of really practical training and practical support, which was really helpful. From the video training course that they make available to Sidewalk Advocates chapters, to the monthly Q&A sessions with national leaders and experts on various aspects of pro-life work, and particularly as it affects work on the sidewalk, and just the follow-up mentoring and brainstorming. Sidewalk Advocates has been so supportive. It really helps us feel that we're not alone out there, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm really curious, how did your own family life growing up influence you to have a passion for protecting the preborn and upholding the dignity of every human person?
Yeah, I think my parents would be the greatest influence. They were always fully pro-life, fully convinced of the truth and the rightness of the pro-life position. And they taught that to me and instilled that conviction in me. And unfortunately, growing up in a family that was very pro-life, I don't really remember a time I didn't know what abortion was. But I also don't remember a time that I didn't know that there was a pro-life movement and didn't know about that. And that has always been, for my whole life, just a great sign of hope and a great witness that no matter how difficult the challenges might be, no matter how grave the threats to innocent life might be in our culture, there is a pro-life movement. There are people who are saying yes to life and who are standing up to defend life, to advocate for life, to try to persuade others of the truth that life is always a good and that we can never attack an innocent human life at any stage of life. And so just knowing that there was a pro-life movement, knowing that my parents had been and were involved in different ways, was a big witness and really formed in me a really deep conviction that um, it is never right to attack the life of an innocent human being. From the time that we know life begins scientifically, from the moment of conception until the very end, until natural death, life is always to be surrounded by love and concern, and that we have to stand up to. We have to stand up. The witness of so many courageous Catholics, the saints that I was exposed to as a kid. I can think of St. Thomas More, for instance, or St. Thomas Becket. There were two saints that I know had inspired my parents, and that they shared their stories, and there were really good movies about those two saints in particular with me. And they were both, in different contexts, saints who stood up for the truth, even when it was very costly, even when the political powers were against them. And in both cases, it cost them their lives standing up for the truth. But having that witness that the truth is worth standing up for, and that we have the obligation to stand up for the truth, even if that means suffering, even if that means giving your life, that naturally flowed into the pro-life cause and has helped inspire me to stand up for the truth of the pro-life cause.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. And can you give us a little sneak peek, or maybe just explain the beautiful, I think it's a beatification of the family in Poland that is coming up. Can you just mention that really quick?
Yeah, this is the beatification of the Alma family. So Joseph and Victoria Alma and their 7 children are being beatified in Poland, September 10th. And this was a family who they lived in a village in Poland during World War II, and they helped Jews hide from the Nazis in their home. And they were eventually caught doing this. And the Nazis, in order to make an example of them and to frighten anyone else from hiding Jews in their home, murdered them. They took the mother and father, Joseph and Victoria, out and shot them in front of their children. And according to the accounts that I've seen, their children had to watch this and were all screaming and just completely upset. And then the children as well were killed by the Nazis. So just a horrible, murder of this family. And Victoria, her 7th child, was in the womb at the time. She was 7 months pregnant at the time that she was shot. And this was done, to intimidate others. But it turns out, from what I understand, that in fact, the witness of the Alma family inspired others in their community to continue to help Jews escape from the Nazis and to hide Jews from the Nazis. And so, as so often happens, martyrdom had the opposite effect of what it was intended by the oppressors, by the Nazis, by the powers that carried out the martyrdom. In fact, martyrdom showed forth the beauty and goodness of the cause, in this case, the direct defense of human life, that this family, the Alma family, showed. And so they're being beatified for their heroic witness of charity and their heroic defense of human life. And it's the first time that the church has ever beatified an unborn child, because their 7th child died in the womb at 7 months of pregnancy. when Victoria, the mother, was shot. And so it's a really profound in the church, recognizing their heroic sanctity. It's really a profound recognition of the dignity of this unborn child, even the holiness of this unborn child, as well as the integrity of this family, the importance of family life and the family as this place of holiness, a domestic church, as the church calls it. That the family as a community is a little cell of the church where the members of the family can grow together in holiness and can discover their vocation together and can share in the work of Christ together. In this case, the work of defending life and even of laying down their lives as Christ did for others. And so it's just a beautiful event in the life of the church, a beautiful event for the family, a beautiful event for the pro-life cause and the beatification of an unborn child, beautiful event that affirms the beauty and importance of Christian marriage. And I'm actually leading a pilgrimage to Poland in September to attend this beatification, as well as to visit other sites related to great saints like John Paul II and St. Faustina and St. Maximilian Kolbe. So I'm really looking forward to going on that pilgrimage, and we still have room on the pilgrimage. If anyone listening wants to sign up, contact us at the Office of Family Life, because we'd love to have you along.
Oh, that's so good. Now, I heard about the pilgrimage, and I'm kind of sad because I went to Poland last year. Otherwise, I would have waited. However, I highly recommend going to Poland, and especially going on this pilgrimage, because I think my life was changed actually going to Poland. Just my experience there, it was far better than I even imagined. So it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful gift to be there in your company as well, Father Peter. So I know that we have really big news regarding the North Carolina SB 20 that just passed. And I know that our bishops here in North Carolina, Bishop Jugas and Bishop Zamara, issued a joint statement in support of Senate Bill 20, which is also called the Care for Women, Children, and Families Act, which was recently published in the Catholic News Herald. So this bill just got enacted, which means we essentially have a North Carolina a 12-week abortion ban under most cases, right? Can you share your personal thoughts on the bill?
Sure. Well, the bill is a step forward in two ways. One, that it increases the protection for unborn children by limiting most second and third trimester abortions, and also because it increases support for mothers in need by allocating millions of dollars through various social support programs that will help parents and help families. And so I'm really pleased to see progress on both those fronts: protection for unborn children and support for moms. Those are really the two goals of the pro-life movement, and it's encouraging to see our state taking a step forward toward them. Of course, unfortunately, this bill does not go far enough in protecting all unborn children. About 90% of abortions in North Carolina take place in the first trimester before 12 weeks. And so, the vast majority of unborn children in our state who are vulnerable to abortion are not yet protected. And in addition, the bill doesn't even protect all children in the second and third trimesters. It has various exceptions, exceptions which are tragic because they really fail to recognize the dignity of every unborn child, including those conceived in tragic circumstances, and the dignity of their mothers. And too often, abortion is presented as if it were the only possible solution to cases of rape, tragic cases of assault like that. Or cases, say, for instance, where the mother receives a life-limiting prenatal diagnosis. A diagnosis of the child will likely die either in utero or soon after birth. Sometimes abortion is presented as if it's the only thing we could think of for these cases, but that really doesn't do justice to the complex needs of the mother and child in this circumstance. And the witness of mothers who have chosen life, even after suffering an assault, and their children who are alive today, and the witness of parents who have found that even a short time with a child, even a very disabled child, can really be a time of love and closeness and bonding. It really shows that just treating those as obvious abortion cases doesn't do justice to those moms. So there's still work to be done. There's definitely still work to be done, but the law is progress, because in itself, it makes a statement that abortion is not the answer. Abortion is something that can and should be limited. And it makes the statement that we need to support moms in need. We need to recognize the reasons that are driving people to abortion and make sure that our resources as a community, as a state, are mobilized to provide support for them.
Mhm. Yes, definitely. Yeah, there's so much more work to be done, but I'm very grateful for this new bill that passed. So we need to keep praying, don't we?
We sure do. Praying and working.
Yeah, praying and working. Yeah. So, in closing, I would love to know what you think is most essential for a culture of life to be fostered and nourished in a post-Roe America. And then, can you leave us with your top tips and personal words of encouragement for the average Catholic layperson, clergy, and religious?
Sure. Well, I think we have to start from the recognition that life is always a good. Life is always valuable. Life always has dignity, and every life is worthy of protection, regardless of the difficult circumstances that some lives might encounter. That's not a reason to attack those lives. We don't eliminate suffering by eliminating the sufferer, as others have said. And we need to recognize that. We need to recognize that there are real challenging social issues that need to be addressed, but the answer to those issues is never to take the life of an innocent human being, as happens in abortion or euthanasia. We also need to recognize that, innocent and dependent human beings are not a threat to us. They're not a threat to our freedom, even if they might ask a lot from us through their vulnerability, whether that's a child who shows up in a life, unexpected, whether that's an elderly parent or adult who is ill and suffering, whether that's someone who has physical or mental limitations. All of these lives who are dependent on us are not a rival to our happiness. They're not in competition with us for the good life. And so it's a mistake to think that we need a choice to sever our ties, to sever our relationship, whether through abortion or euthanasia or anything else, with these people whose lives may ask a lot from us, but really their vulnerability is an opportunity for us to really offer the best of ourselves, and discover that we really only truly find ourselves in making a sincere gift of ourselves to one another. This is a central theme in John Paul II's teaching, and one that is so important to take to heart, that we really only discover who we truly are when we're able to find a way to give our lives away, to give ourselves away in a sincere gift of self to another. And it's precisely those vulnerable people, whether it's the unborn, whether it's the terminally ill, whether it's those who have disabilities of any kind,
Right.
whether it's the poor, whether it's immigrants, these people who are vulnerable, who need our support, really are an opportunity for us to give the best of ourselves and to become the best version of ourselves through that sincere gift of love and care for another. As far as advice for anyone listening, I love that phrase that no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. No one can do everything, but everyone can do something. We are all called to be active in the cause of life, in the defense of innocent human life. We live at a time in which innocent human life is gravely threatened. As Pope John Paul II recognized, when he wrote the Gospel of Life, he wrote a whole encyclical to call attention to these new and grave threats to human life, especially at the very beginning, to the unborn child, and at the very end, when the temptation of euthanasia or physician-assisted suicide comes up. These threats to life are with us, and we all have a role to play. We all are called to contribute to the cause of life and contribute to the cause of the culture of life. And so nobody can do everything, but everyone can do something. And it's important not to let how big the issues are overwhelm us and to make us think that each one of us has to solve everything. What's important to do is to look around at your life, look around at your parish, look around at your community and say, what's something I can do to contribute? Maybe your parish needs a Respect Life coordinator. Maybe there is a local pregnancy resource center in your community that you can go take a tour. PRCs love to have people come and see what they're doing and hear about their ministry. Go take a tour, ask how you can support them, ask how you can get involved. Maybe that's educating, getting involved in helping bring life issues to making them part of catechesis in the parish, making them part of education, making sure young people are brought up to understand the importance of defending human life. Maybe there's an abortion clinic in your community, and you can go in a peaceful, prayerful, and law-abiding way to go there just to pray, even just to pray, or even to consider being someone who reaches out in love to those moms and offers them life-affirming options. Maybe there's a conversation with someone in your life who might be tempted by abortion at some point, or someone you may encounter, preparing for that conversation, knowing what you would say and knowing where those life-affirming resources are. Everybody can do something, and God will lead you to what he has in mind for you if you ask him. Just ask him. Just ask him. Always in discernment, we just ask God to show us the next step. The next step. God doesn't give us the full plan all at once. He gives it to us step by step as we're ready for it. And so simply asking God, show me the next step you want me to take to contribute to a culture of life. I'm confident that God will lead you to those opportunities. And as far as clergy and religious, our job is to really be witnesses to the dignity of human life, and we can look to those great witnesses among the saints, like Saint Maximilian Kolbe, a Franciscan priest who gave his life in a concentration camp for an innocent man who had been chosen for execution. He put his life offered his life in his place. That witness, is still with us, and we're called, clergy especially, to teach very clearly and in its fullness the pro-life teaching of the Church, and to teach people as well that it's not just something exclusive to Catholicism, but our pro-life teaching is really in harmony with science and with reason and with the human rights culture that is at the foundation of modern society. The denial of human rights to the unborn child, to human beings at the beginning of life or at the end of life, is not at all consistent with the principles of a free and just society, which the vast majority of people already agree on. So we have important common ground there, appealing to human rights, that every human being has human rights just because they're human. It's an important rational foundation for the pro-life teaching of our Church as well. And it's the job of clergy to be able to understand these issues and to be able to teach about them, speak about them, to do that courageously, because people look to us for leadership and people look to us for clarity. And we're so blessed in the Catholic Church to have so much clarity from God's revelation, first of all, from all of the reflection on that through faith and reason that has been carried out by so many great minds in our Church and by the witness of so many people, so many saints filled with love throughout the years. There's such a rich tradition we can draw on to illuminate where we are right now and to find that clarity we need, so that we can live with integrity even in the midst of challenges, and that we can become like St. Maximilian Kolbe, like the Alma family, like so many other great saints, like John Paul II, just the luminous witnesses to truth and to God and to life that we are called to be.
Yes. Thank you. Actually, the Church is the reason that I'm so pro-life, being a Catholic convert. So I'm so grateful for the Church's teachings, because it's really what has formed me. So Father, I know that some folks may want more information on how to get involved with some of the things that you spoke about today. What is the best way for people to find more information?
Sure. Well, you can always email the Office of Family Life of the Diocese of Charlotte. Our email address is just familylife@rcdoc.org. Or you can go to charlottediocese.org and just click on the front page the button for Office of Family Life. And we're happy to help you connect with your parish or help you connect with other ministries in your areas that would help you get involved in building a culture of life.
Great. Thank you so much, Father Peter. It's been such a joy to be with you today. I hope we have informed the Catholic community and the Carolina Catholic media family. Again, this is Elizabeth Harris signing off for another showcase. Thanks and have a great weekend.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks, me too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Carolina Catholic Media Showcase. For more information about us and to support our nonprofit mission of broadcasting the message of Jesus Christ, visit carolinacatholicradio.org and follow, friend, and like us on social media by searching for Carolina Catholic Radio.